21-year-old, so we're talking about a young person, a 21-year-old actually missed jury duty, and a judge made him spend 10 days in jail, and that is not even the complete punishment. Okay, so his name is Deandre Somerville, and he showed up to the courthouse after he got a summons for jury duty. That's how it started. Somerville said he was picked to serve as a juror on a civil case and was told to return the following day at 9 a.m. But he missed his alarm and woke up around 11 or 11:30, he says, and at that point, it was almost time to head to his afternoon job. So he didn't bother going to the courthouse or calling the bailiff. He just hoped it all would air out. At that point, he said he thought he would get a fine or something. Listen, 21-year-olds are 21 years old for, listen, it happens. This doesn't seem crazy to me.
Yeah, no.
He works at an after-school program for the city of West Palm Beach Parks and Rec Department, and he lives with his grandparents to actually help take care of them. And that house is where police came after he missed jury duty. He said, my grandfather said, just go in and be honest. I've never had a criminal background, never been arrested, never been in handcuffs. The most I've ever gotten was a traffic ticket. So I was thinking it wouldn't be that bad. Well, it was bad. The judge sentenced him not only to 10 days in actual jail that he had to serve, but he has a year of probation and 150 hours of community service because the judge said that no-show delayed the court by 45 minutes. And he says, now I have a record. I feel like a criminal now. Now I have to explain this in every interview. He says he hopes to go to school at some point to become a firefighter. This is so upsetting to me.
Yeah, so in some stories like this, the right wing prepare to have your heads explode. I internally play guess the race. And I've been wrong from time to time, and then I come out and tell you gratuitously, I guessed the wrong race on this one, right? In this case, I was like, he's definitely black. Even before I got to his name or any other clue, I read the headline. A headline wasn't enough. 21-year-old oversleeps jury duty gets jail for 10 days. First of all, no rich person in this country is ever gonna get jail for 10 days for missing jury duty. And they're gonna come in and go, I had something important to do, I'm rich, right? And the judge is gonna be like, yes, sir, yes, sir. You really should, but come on, it's okay, right? But if you're not wealthy, and he's not particularly poor, he works at Park and Rec and et cetera, but he's a young black kid, disposable. So that's what's, like, it seems like a silly little story, right? And hey, 10 days in jail, we've covered much more egregious stories, and it's missing jury duty. It's almost funny, it's absurd, right? But it's not, it's important because it gives you a mindset into how people in power react to folks from different races and different economic backgrounds. And so God help you. He made a mistake, he thought, no, his grandfather told him if you're just honest. He didn't take into account the judge is gonna see him and think, young black kid deserves to be in jail. I'm gonna put him in jail for 10 days. Outrageous. I'm telling you, I grew up in a nice suburb. It wasn't extravagant, but it was a nice upper middle class suburb. There's no way anyone I knew would have gone 10 days for missing jury duty.
And honestly, stop talking to the police. Like, just stop. It's just, you have to. You have to only speak to an attorney. You have to. At any point, when the police officers come to you and say you did something wrong or they want to question, you just can't. It just never works out. Do you ever watch? It just doesn't work out.
I know, the thing is, people are put in an unwinnable situation because if you then ask for an attorney or you don't cooperate with law enforcement in their perception in any way, shape, or form, they feel like, okay, great, open season now, you didn't cooperate, so now I'm gonna be vicious.
But what can be more vicious than 10 days in actual jail? I don't want to spend a day in jail. I don't want to go do one of those cutesy news stories where they spend the night in jail, perfectly safe. I don't want to spend an hour in jail, let alone 10 days. You can't go to work for 10 days. You could potentially lose your job. Now you have a record, and a year on probation is not in jail, but it's not scot-free. It's not easy. We spent how long talking about Meek Mill, who just got off of probation after something that he did when he was 19, and then probation could mean you could get your probation revoked because you got an interaction with a police officer. You weren't even convicted yet. You got charged with something, and you could get your probation revoked.
And he'd have to go to jail for a year.
And you have to go to jail.
I'm just gonna say one last thing, Brooke. Of course, you're right about that, and don't I ran into a guy and had a conversation very similar. Not black, but a minority, made the mistake of being honest with the cops, in solitary confinement for a week on simple possession, and in jail for a month and a half, etc. So yes, lawyer up, know your rights, etc. But young black male, cops come, and if he goes no, I'm not cooperating. I want an attorney. Then can you see the cops saying like, are you resisting arrest? Oh, goddamn. Now he's an even bigger threat to his life, right?
I hate the idea though that you're in a position of not invoking your rights to protect yourself.
100%, 100%. And look, guys, the correct answer is we all have to work together to make sure that rights in this country mean something and equality means something. And we have to enforce that so that we don't constantly put minorities and poor people in this country in an unwinnable situation, because it's madness and it's horrible injustice.
Yeah, I mean, America has a way of, if you're white, they find a way to bend the law to like be way more lenient. But if you're a person of color, it's this idea of like follow the law, the rule of law, complete lack of compassion, a complete inability to see a gray area or operate within a gray area. Because if you're Brock Turner, you can rape somebody. If you're Amber Geiger, you can kill somebody, and somehow you get 6 months, 10 years. But then if you're this guy and you make him, nobody likes jury duty. Nobody likes jury duty, you know? I mean, it's like a understandable mistake, you know? And there's no ability for these people to go, it's a 21-year-old student who overslept, you know?
Yeah.
Like, also on that note, show up for jury duty, because marginalized people showing up for jury duty in Dallas, Texas is what, even though you may not like the 10 years, is what got Amber Geiger convicted. Like, show up for jury duty. Take it seriously. This is not gonna reach every 21-year-old because they're 21. They make all kinds of ridiculous mistakes. He's overslept. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they lose jobs because they oversleep. They lose money because they oversleep. But it's just, it's the punishment. Like, we cannot send everybody to jail for everything.
Yeah, no, 100% right, both of you guys. So look, I remember when I was in New York, I went to jury duty, and there was, I'll leave out the name, there happened to be in the same pool as a 60 Minutes reporter that everybody knows. And they made the case, hey, I have an important job. And the judge laughed and no, you still gotta be here, you can't get out of it, etc. And at the end of the day, he let her out, okay. And that's that, and well, you know, oh no, some trappings of that, but oh my God, it's somebody powerful and important, okay, off you go. Meanwhile, we're crushing poor and middle class people every day, day in, day out. And Geiger, she gets convicted, but even so, hugs afterwards, hugs. Did anybody hug this kid as he was going to jail for 10 days? Was there all this talk of forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness? No, disposable, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing that really gets me is for the rest of his life, already people come in with stereotypes. He's already at a disadvantage in that way. And then they see, oh, he had to check off that he went to jail. Then he's got to explain to them how absurd it is. Then they're not going to believe him. Right. Oh, really? You went to jail for 10 days because you didn't show up for jury duty? He's triply screwed.
Yeah, if you're a person of color, you don't just get to make a basic human error. Just like you don't get to just be a human who is fallible for a second, you know? It's like the moment that you make the smallest mistake, it's just handcuffs, the worst possible thing they can throw on you. And that's it, you know?
And super last thing, guys. If you're white in this country and you hear minority and you turn off your brain, no, I don't believe it, I don't believe it, they treat everybody the same. Look, you don't get it. Yes, minorities have it worse. But if you're poor or middle class, you're in the same boat as us. You might be in a different part of the boat, but we're in the same boat. And so while they got you distracted saying, oh, undocumented immigrants, they're the ones creating all the problems, they have all the power? Really? Does that sound right to you? Are the undocumented immigrants the judges and the bankers? Of course not, right? The people buying off politicians, etc. And they got you fighting black folks, they got you fighting immigrants, they got you fighting Muslims, etc. Meanwhile, we're all getting shipped off to private prisons, getting crushed and steamrolled. Understand, we got to stick together against the people, not all the rich people, not all the elites, but the ones buying off the politicians, the big donors, the big businesses. They're not doing it for charity, they're not doing it for their health or your health. So those are the people in power. If you're looking for who's crushing you, don't look down, look up. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.